I want to talk about Zillow and Redfin because they are clearly the most popular ways right now for homeowners and folks to find out the true value of a home, but they are not without their shortcomings. We all know that these two are the big giants in the industry when it comes to looking up home values, looking up rentals, just about anything that's real estate related. They're great free resources, but do they truly give you an accurate value for your house? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today in this quick video. The biggest problem with Zillow and Redfin is they lack the human element. What they do is they have an algorithm that's called the automated valuation model, or the AVM, that basically is used to kind of guess your home's value based on various criteria. One of the shortcomings is they don't have access to the most current property data, and they can't always account for changes in the market. I mean, the market changes so rapidly that Zillow and Redfin can't always keep up with it, so the estimates aren't always accurate. They can't, talk about nuances in the neighborhood. Those little things around your neighborhood might impact the value of your home. And they only use this AVM to estimate your home's value. And that's really important to remember, because that's really the only thing they have to judge what your home is worth. They don't take into consideration the unique features that your house might have. You might have an upgraded kitchen. You might have a 4-car garage, things like that aren't considered when looking at comps in the neighborhood. Conversely, you might have a house that needs a lot of work. So again, it won't be a fair comparison to a house that has an upgraded kitchen and all upgraded bathrooms and stuff like that if you're still sitting on the 1950s kitchen. A real estate professional is really your only way to get an accurate estimate on what the value of your house is. And it all has to do with the data. It's garbage in, garbage out. And if there's inaccurate data, Zillow and Redfin can't give you an accurate price for your house. Public records aren't always up to date. As I said earlier, a house that sold a couple weeks ago might not be recorded yet, and Zillow and Redfin don't have access to that data. There also might be discrepancies in the data of your own home, like square footage, number of bathrooms, stuff like that. Again, they're basing it on whatever public records they have available to them. So Zillow and Redfin are only as good as the data that's provided to them. So this is why your house deserves a professional or a personalized assessment. If you have someone like a real estate investor who buys houses all the time, or a real estate agent who knows the market conditions, you're going to get a much more accurate price for your house based on its very specific characteristics. A professional can come in and they'll have access to all those unique features and all those upgrades. If you upgraded your kitchen, if you put in a new roof, Zillow and Redfin have to guess at that stuff. Whereas someone coming into your house and taking pictures and doing a walkthrough with you has access to all of that. They can also assess the current condition of your house as it relates to the local market. And that's very important because, again, not every house is going to be the same. So here's a case study about 2 homes that were on the same block, and you'll see what I'm talking about when it comes to Zillow and Redfin not always being accurate. This is a house in Baltimore. You can see it sold in 2022 near the end of 2022, a little less than a year ago, for $270,000. It's 5 bedrooms, 3 baths. Zillow has it at about $270 now. That's probably pretty accurate. But let's take a look at some of the pictures of this house. This is clearly upgraded appliances and upgraded, new flooring, recessed lighting. This was a big renovation. It was probably $75,000 to $100,000 to renovate this property. The reason I'm using this as an example is because I looked at a property on the same block, just 2 doors down, very similar size. The square footage is not listed on this one, but it was about 2,800 square feet, 5 bedrooms, 3 baths, all that's the same. But it was used as a multi-family, so it was laid out a little differently. It needed a lot of work. Now, the owner wanted $200,000 for it, because this other house sold for $270,000. Well, the problem with that is that as an investor, I'm in the business of buying a house. I'm paying all the closing costs. I have to pay to rehab it. And I also need to make a little bit of money because, let's face it, I'm in the business of making money. So $200,000 is not realistic when you figure out that I have to back out at least 10% for my holding costs and my carrying costs and my cost to resell it after I flip it. And also, it doesn't take into consideration my rehab costs, which, as I said, a house like this, like in this example, is going to be 75,000, 100,000 to upgrade. So right there, I'm already not making $270,000, and that doesn't even take into consideration the profit that I want to make on this. It's just not a realistic number. So I went into this house, and you can see by the next few pictures what I'm talking about. This is that house. Here's the kitchen. You can see that the kitchen is in desperate need of upgrades. Now, if I was going to hold it as a rental, it might not need as many upgrades, but to get it to the same level as that house that sold for $270,000, I'm going to have to do a lot of work. I mean, look at the bedrooms. They need work. They need paint. They need new lighting. The basement needs to be cleared out. It's a mess. $200,000 in this case was not a realistic offer. And I tried to explain that, and I tried to pull up the data that I had as a professional, and we just couldn't come to an agreement. So the question you're probably asking yourself is, what is my house worth? Well, first of all, the bottom line is that it's better to rely on a professional to come in and give you an accurate estimate and appraisal of your house than to rely on Zillow and Redfin. It's just not realistic. Again, all those things that I told you about, relying on that AVM model, it's just not a realistic thing. And it's really critical to have an accurate valuation of your home, because you're making a decision about selling it, or you might even, even if you're not selling it, you're making a decision about refinancing it. And lenders are going to look at that. And lenders aren't going to use Redfin and Zillow to determine what the value of the house is. They're going to use a professional. They're going to pay for a professional appraisal, or you'll actually have to pay for it, or they're going to rely on an accurate valuation from a real estate professional before they make their decision on whether you can get that loan. They're not going to use Zillow, and they're not going to use Redfin. So if you want to get an accurate valuation of your home, and possibly even a no obligation offer, I urge you to reach out to someone like me who does this for a living. You can see my numbers right there. My website, webuyMDhomes.com. I'm Better Business Bureau accredited, and I have an A+ rating, which means that I have a trusted rating. I have a perfect score on their customer ratings, and I take that very seriously. It's all about reputation. And if you go on my webuyMDhomes site, you will also see that I have a page called How It Works, where you can actually see how I break down an offer. I use an example. I show you the numbers. It's very transparent. And that's what you want when you're looking to sell your house. You want to get the correct value, but you want to be able to have it evaluated correctly by a professional. Thanks for watching.